Alrighty, so here we are. 8th lesson with improved lighting. Great, so, using your tuner, we got these things with one of the batteries being wrong, or one of the buttons having been hit and something changed, but you're going to be in tune when you leave the day, so it should be like little teeny tunes. When you're using the tuner, most important thing, keep hitting the string over and over again. That's the thing where people potentially go way too far. It's like the note fizzles out or whatever. So otherwise, we just got E, A, D, G, B, E. I'm sorry.
That's sharp, we're turning it.
Yeah, so totally. We're tightening it to make it higher or sharp, and we're slackening it to make it lower. So, this will just have to trial and error, but yeah, it's, clockwise is higher. Clockwise is lower, slackening, and counterclockwise is higher. But, one clearly slackens it, makes it go higher. So even if you start going in the wrong direction for a second, you can just come back. But yeah, left higher. And right lower. So there we go, that's what's up. Your guitar will stay a lot better in tune having left. So whether we're playing this or this, we're always just trying to come straight in at the string. So the main thing is stop the video right now and cut your fingernails all the way beneath the nail bed, where when you go to do E minor with either of these two fingers, you can come straight in at the strings, bent this way without touching the wood or even being relatively close to touching the wood. And that wasn't an issue with power chords, but there's going to be 900% more stuff where it would be an issue than where it wouldn't. So bummer about the fingernails. That's the main thing that's making this seem not really doable. Alright, so hey, left hand position. Whatever we're playing, what we're trying to avoid is creating space back here where we don't have enough of our fingers available to us. So there's two left thumb positions. There's classical position, where you're right in the dead center and making shapes. To play a power chord, you have to be in that position. And then there's, I've thrown my thumb over the top a little bit. And I don't mean like this or whatever, just hooked over the top, where your palm's touching the instrument. Something I didn't bring up during the lesson, but I'm going to now. When you're playing down in this part of the instrument, it'll be helpful to take your left elbow off of your body and move it over to the side. Probably right now you'll feel most comfortable playing around the 3rd or the 5th fret, and that was because it felt like that was way over there. So yeah, your elbow is going to move around side to side and across your body too when you go up to higher frets. But since we're playing in first position first, which is what we mostly want, chords and getting used to strumming the whole instrument, the way power chords look, and I'll just start with this since it's what you started with at home, suggests that we just hit 3 strings. At some point we will want to be able to just hit 3 strings, but when I'm strumming this, and we all are strumming it, we're hitting all 6 strings. So what that's doing is my index finger is naturally touching the 3 highest strings, highest tonally, the ones closest to the ground. So when I'm playing, I get note, 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 those are the actual notes I'm fretting, and then click, click, click. So when I'm strumming, I'm actually hitting the whole instrument using that bigger range of motion we talked about during the lesson. So try to get your hand to do that. Your first finger is gonna be pushing down with the tip, and the rest of it's just going to be flopped across the strings. And this is something that you're doing in a classical thumb position. So that's the first thing you did, and kind of just correction on power chords. That's how you're going to be able to strum as big as we want to. But yeah, let's just start with E minor, which seemed like it was the chord that stuck with you most. And you were doing it this way. We want to use these 2 fingers generally, unless there's some compelling reason not to, because it lets us switch to other chord shapes a lot more readily, a lot more other chord shapes. Cool, so let's talk about right hand. Left hand goes, we're coming straight in at the string, ouch my hand. So left hand wise, the way the guitar looks implies we just move here, but in fact we're starting like up there and ending up all the way down there. So the very first rhythm I wrote on the page, which if your hand's tired, you can just go open the strings, but you can pick, E minor, the first chord up there. It was just down strums. So we're just getting used to going, trying to hit all strings with equal velocity, and if I do that here, it's just going to sound like, So yeah, it's got this wind-up thing. and you can so just stop right now in your practice, pause the video, and get comfortable with doing that. If your left hand gets tired, you can totally just go open strings. One sound is cool, but we're talking about holding down this E minor shape. At the moment, just that shape while you play this rhythm 1 that I wrote there, which is just all down strums. So I want you to go for like 4 total strums, then pause and see what went wrong, and, so stop and get good at that. No part 2 of this concept, you're totally just going down is a down strum, up is an up strum as far as the arrows on the page. And then rhythm 2 is down, up, and we're talking about hitting all 6 strings. So now we're, without having any 2 downs in a row, we're now making it about both movements, and that's going to sound like. And we're just be doing it with that wider range of motion. And if I was playing a power chord, I would still be doing the same thing. Just these strings or silence. So same thing, whichever one you're doing. So cool. So stop and get really comfortable with that. Wide range of motion, down, up, down, up. Up has a little less wrist involvement than down, but it's wrist and arm, mostly arm. So right now you're just chopping wood, down, up, down, up. Having gotten good at that, rhythm 3 is just half 1, half 2. Our first rhythm was just down, 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 down. Our second rhythm was down, up. Now we're going down, 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 up, down, up. So it's stuff you already know. This is just our first time doing anything other than rhythm 1 or 2. So yeah, I'm just going down, down. So half the first one, half the second one. That's our rhythm 3 there. So now same process. At this point you might want to switch to one of the other chords we talked about, like C or A minor. A minor would be a good first one, because it's a lot like E minor, the chord you've been playing, which what happens is these 2 fingers, they move down towards the ground, and then your first finger comes in, and you've got chord diagrams of this chord on the right side of the second line down. But the thing you're really going to be thinking about in your head, as opposed to numbers on the page, is just my hand, if you watch my hand right now, is scooting just down, and my index finger is coming in. That's what you're actually going to be thinking, as opposed to second fret or what note you're playing or whatever, just going like that. So before you try anything else, just kind of work on that chord change on its own. That's our strategy for learning chord changes. We don't ever want to go the world's longest pause. And the way we work around that is with this really unpleasant 10 minutes of just going back and forth, doing single strums or whatever. The important part there is that you're consciously focused on what you're doing, rather than like the guessing headspace. And it's just going to suck in and out of my hand and so forth. Cool, so those are the 3 rhythms that I actually want you to get good at, the bonus footage here, which is this rhythm that goes down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. First half of that was. And that's just up to where this little asterisk I'm drawing is. We're going down, 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 up, down, up. So just work on getting up to there with any of these chords. Pausing and doing it again. Then at the end we've got down, 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 up. So the whole thing goes, and only try this after you're already good at the first part and up to the asterisk. So the whole thing goes down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. Make this a more clear down arrow. So that whole thing sounds like dum, 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 jiggy, jiggy, dum, dum, jiggy. But again, what your right hand's going to be thinking about is just down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up. So like I drew a line there suggesting this is the absolute high end of what you're working on this time. If you get good at the first 3 rhythms, try that. It's a longer rhythm. It's more syncopated, like there's more stuff that happens in more actual rhythmic changes versus just same thing over and over, short section. So yeah, left hand wise, I'd love for you to just be spending some time just going, this chord exists, this chord exists, this chord exists, and just going back and forth. forth between them, making sure to do, all three different orders. And we're going to memorize the names of these chords. We've got D minor, A minor. We notice those are both like quarter second chords versus C or C major, which sounds all bright and like that. I think the only reason we're picking these arbitrarily is because E minor is really easy and it's the one you knew when you walked in. And then A minor is really that same shape, moving down and just bringing another finger in. And then switching to C, you just have to change one finger from A minor. Cool, so at this point we're just going to hit all 6 strings and not be bummed if we hit an extra low string. Yeah, so feel free to play any other of them ever too. Just like look up songs online, but either way, big range of motion. And you could do the same thing with any of your power chords. You could be like, so rather than getting too specific, just like you build up basic dexterity and finger strength, just going between those shapes, trying these rhythms, following along with this video. Only try the 4th rhythm if you're really good at the first 3 already. And yeah, again, reminder about elbow position. It already feels weird without it being like all the way over there. So that's going to feel like what you want to do when you're back there. And we're always trying to come straight in at the strings, bent at our first knuckle in a way that we can't do unless we're pushed up against something. And that's where your fingernails will become, once you cut them, it won't be an issue. And there's 2 reasons a note won't ring out. One of them is I'm not pushing down hard enough. The other one is I'm accidentally touching it with one of my other fingers. Like here, we're prone to accidentally touching, like with fingernail situation, accidentally touching the 3rd string, not 6, 5, 4. So yeah, those are the 2 reasons I do that. One of them is just I need to push down harder. Plus the obvious one is one of my other fingers supposed to be touching. The way to figure out if you're fretting a chord correctly is to pick through one note at a time like that and see what's happening. And if you notice, like, it's like, oh, okay, something's wrong there, I have to push down harder. Doing this kind of sound the same regardless of what happens. Cool, so there's all that stuff. And like I'm saying, we're just really looking to build up basic coordination this week. Like, no specific assignment of a song or an order to do this in. So that starting next time we can do just about any song. We're doing this deliberately so that it can really just be about the movements and learning a few shapes and moving around rather than trying to duplicate a song you already know or whatever. So there you are. There is a 13-minute video to practice with.